Hey there. It is, oh man, haunting. That song is haunting me. Vanessa, knock it off. Quit pulling out tunes like that. Um, I'll get back to that a little bit later, but hopefully you guys have checked out some of the new lessons. I have something else I really want to talk about first, and that is, well, it's the end of October. Election Day is just around the corner, and Halloween is just around the corner. Time change here in the United States is just around the corner. There's like too many things just around the corner for there to be room for anything else rounding the corner. But hang on a second. Is that B string? Yeah, it'll work, huh? I didn't bend it, did I? Anyway, I have been, well, first of all, I've been revamping the studio here. You may have noticed things look a little bit different. Still have a couple steps to do, so that has sort of infringed on my lesson production lately. But that's about to change. The last pieces of the puzzle are supposed to be arriving tomorrow. And then this room should be functional for both lessons, video lessons and live lessons. Although I haven't been doing too many live lessons, mostly Zoom lessons, of course, this day and age. And so anyway, but what I did get a chance to do was really work on our blog. There's a link right up there at the top, right? We got lessons, forum, IGC, all that stuff across the top, and one of them says blog. And of course, we used to have like 7 or 8 different blogs, 3 or 4 of which had a lot of stuff in them: vintage reviews, vintage, what was it called? Vintage snapshots, it was called, and acoustic snapshots, and found a whole bunch of videos that my friend Mike Mullins had done. He had some interviews with the guys at Griffin, with George Gruen, anyway, and all that stuff has been hard to find or hard to access, let's say, on the blog, but it's getting easier to do. So I've been hacking in the background and trying to get more stuff easier to find. So I'd really appreciate it if people would take a look at the blog. And I think one of the most useful functions right now is in the lower left, all the way down at the bottom of the page. There's a drop-down menu of, I think there's like 16 different categories, and each of those categories has a lot of different things. Now, many of them are videos that don't work just yet, but the one I kind of did get to work on was my old friend Steve Rose and the listening post. And I watched some of these things. Man, his reviews or his little, most of them are like little 10-minute video essays, I guess. The two that caught my attention this week were one on Arthur Lee's band, Love, and I only have one song of theirs up here, but I think I'm going to change that. It's Alone Again or, and then he had a great one on Nick Drake, and he hadn't heard much about Nick Drake. Now, these were all shot like 6-7 years ago, but they've been sort of under the stairs in boxes for a long time. So I really think you guys ought to check them out. Check out Steve Rose's listening post things, and I will actually try to get those all back into the listening post forum that I might have already done that. Oh man, this is getting old. Sucks. Okay, well anyway, so that's what I want to talk about. Something going on in particular with the blog, and what we used to have there was a lot of duplicates of the same information. So this is of course where you can watch the news like this. You might even be watching this right now on the blog. Where'd that go? Why is this song pop in my head? That's of course Bluesland by Jerry Reed. So, but that was something I put up an acoustic snapshot of a while ago. And so this week I resurrected the acoustic snapshot column and put up what became part of this week's lesson. That B is still not working. Here's an interesting dilemma. That sounds really good on an E chord now. It's a hair flat, but on a D chord, it's a hair sharp. Can I flatten it by pushing it forward? No, never mind. Okay. Well, anyway, so there was an acoustic snapshot of running through Send in the Clowns, and then, of course, that sort of leads me into what I'm going to talk about in the next segment, which is the new stuff we had this week. So, I'll be back to talk about that in just right after this little card. Well, I felt really good about knocking out that lesson, sort of like the week before, finishing up the "Can You Read My Mind?" These two songs that I sort of abandoned 15 or 20 years ago, and now they're etched in the media, in the ether forever. So that's a good thing. So that was one of the things we had this week was the instrumental arrangement of "Send in the Clowns," along with Max had a lesson on Maroon 5, "Harder to Breathe," kind of a cool tune. I hope people have had a chance to check that out. I forgot to mention last week because I think we got this live just in the middle of last week. Student review. We had Isela put up a what song? "Ironic" by Alanis Morris. Yeah. And I want to thank Vanessa for doing a review of it. You know, usually when I try to do student reviews, and please load up some more stuff. When I try to do student reviews, I try to keep them to like 5 minutes. It doesn't always work out, but and Vanessa, this might be the first one she did. Although Bob did one a couple of weeks ago too for Neil's version of "Living in the City." I think, was it "Living in the City"? Yeah, and but Vanessa's was really detailed, so I hope you guys have had a chance to take a look at it. You can track that down on the forum. But yeah, great. First of all, great job on playing the tune. But then Vanessa's review had some really pointed suggestions. So that was kind of cool. What else did we have coming out this week? A few more episodes of, I guess we had a couple Monday and Tuesday, and then Friday another episode of Fretboard Freedom. And this thing is getting really interesting. So the segment, the latest segment, was called Simple Triad Arpeggios, and I have a whole course on that. And something I've been having students do lately related to that. So anyway, so I hope you guys are checking out the Fretboard Freedom. There's a few more episodes of that coming up. But a good tip too, because we're getting into an ear training part of that. That'll be like one of the last segments that comes up, analyzing chord progressions. And you should get in the habit of playing through and getting used to what this sounds like. Or this. 1, 4, 5, or 5, 7, 1. And to kind of get your ear geared into any key, do that first. You should be able to whip through those chords in C, in D, in E, in F. Do we care? No, we don't care about F. Forget that. F sharp? No, we don't care about F sharp. But if you can play them as bar chords, you can do them all. Now what I was doing right there was, of course, playing chord 1 in the E family. And as you hopefully know, that if chord 1 is in the E family, at the same fret, you have chord 4 in the A family. And that means you have chord 5 2 steps higher, 2 frets higher, 1 step higher. So, but the 5 useful keys, let's see, where did I get? I stopped at E. E, A, B7. Oh, and so I didn't get to G. And see, once you do that, your ear, now that sounds like, okay, I'm ready to play a song in the key of G. So just by playing those chords, now if I did it in A, if I played my 1, 4, 5 in A, Why is that song in my head? Oh, that's a hint. I'll get to it in the next segment. But anyway, so fretboard freedom. Be sure to be checking those out. And did we have something else this week that I forgot about now? No, I think we really had just basically 3 lessons plus the theory, plus the review, and anything else I want to tell you about? Everybody got their costume and masks ready? If you want to be really scary, go out without one. Okay, be back to talk about next week in a minute. This was one I promised last week that I didn't get to. So coming up next week, I will get finished with, especially if we get a little less noise and stuff around here, we'll get finished It Doesn't Matter. I sent out a video that was on the forum a little bit last week. I wanted everybody to take a look at of Linda Ronstadt playing the guitar and singing It Doesn't Matter. That was pretty darn cool, huh? And so that is under construction. We'll finish up a little bit more. I think we have all the episodes of Fretboard Freedom. It's like 4 more episodes. It should be all out next week. But the big news on songs is Vanessa's doing a lesson. We got something coming from Lady Antebellum, who have just changed their name, I think. But so that will be, it's kind of cool to add a new artist to our categories. And I will get to Linda's tune and what was the other one? Oh, the one I just hinted at in the last segment, right? And which is Tim Hardin, Reason to Believe, and that will be. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to cover like 4 different people's versions of it, but Tim's version is pretty interesting because, well, it's pretty basic, you know, because he just it's just kind of a folky strumming and singing song and stays pretty basic, but something similar to the Hang On to a Dream, How Can We Hang On to a Dream, that from Vanessa's from this week, is unusual phrasing of measures. And so like even in How Do We Hang On to a Dream, what we had was a phrase that was E minor, D, C, B7, 4 measures, A minor, D for 2 measures, and we just had a 7-measure phrase. Reason to Believe does something very similar. So Tim Hardin didn't have a good head for math, apparently. No. But it made for fabulous songs. They're a little bit unbalanced. Nothing wrong with that. So so I think I forgot to mention in the last segment that How Do We Hang On to a Dream is what I was playing back in the beginning, and that Vanessa did a lesson for us on it. And when I pointed out to her that it was also done by Keith Emerson's band, The Nice, back in the about 1968, 67. Pretty different. They did a nice spacey, screaming version of it. And of course, Emerson, added his own touch to everything. So, the big news, though, for next week, I think I got through all the little news. I'm gonna have to I gotta play this with a thumb pick because my friend Bob McAlpine is coming back. I should have practiced this. Yes, we have a lesson from Bob on 25 or 6 to 4. Really look forward to. I haven't looked at the whole thing yet. Actually, I haven't looked at. Well, anyway, it's gonna. I think we're gonna get that out Monday because I gotta look at it first and I gotta practice it. One of only 2 songs that I usually play with a thumb pick, and luckily, just before I started this segment, I remembered there was one somewhere in this room. But anyway, so Bob, who's of course played in a band that does Chicago. It's not just a cover band, it's a tribute band because they do Chicago tunes the way Chicago used to do them. And maybe even still does. But And I think if you might have remembered from the interview that we did with him a little while ago that they had a singer who eventually got stolen by Chicago, and they had to replace him. But that's kind of cool too. So anyway, Bob is on about his one a month plan for lessons, and this will be his third one, I think, for us. We've got the Stevie Wonder song, and then we've got Come Together, and next week you will see it. Bob's take on 25 or 6 to 4 that will include much of don't even think what am I I think he's done the whole lead. No, I take that back. He's at least done a few measures of the lead of what Terry Kath did, because the opening part to that is really iconic. The rest of it is just totally improvised every time. Every time Terry played it, it was completely different, and it was really improvised in the studio when he played it too. So, encourage you to go back and relive Chicago's version of 25 or 6 to 4. I got to put that video, the one from oh man, it was on the East Coast in about 1970. Okay, I'll track down that video and make sure that you guys that it's like tagged in here. Okay, that is it for the last Friday in October. Okay, back next week.